Alright, so let's talk Samsung Galaxy. It's a huge name today, right? But every big story has a beginning. For Samsung's Galaxy phones, that beginning was way back in 2009. This was a time when smartphones were just starting to get really interesting. Apple had the iPhone, and Google's Android was the new kid on the block. Samsung saw an opportunity. They decided to jump into the Android world. Their first phone to carry the Galaxy name was the Samsung GTI 7500, simply called the Samsung Galaxy. This was a pretty big deal for them. The first Samsung Galaxy, the i7500, was a humble start. It ran Android 1.5 Cupcake, which sounds ancient now. Imagine that. The screen was a 3.2-inch AMOLED display. Now, AMOLED was cool even back then. It meant bright colors and deep blacks. Not many phones had that. It had a 5-megapixel camera, which was decent for 2009. It wasn't a massive hit like later Galaxy phones, but it was important. It was Samsung planting its flag in the Android ground. It showed they were serious about this new type of phone. Back then, the smartphone market was a wild west. Lots of companies were trying different things. Nokia was still big, BlackBerry was popular for emails, HTC was making some cool Android phones. Samsung needed to stand out. The i7500 was their first real attempt with Android. It showed they could make the hardware. It also showed they were willing to use someone else's software, Android, and try to make it their own. This was a learning phase for Samsung, a really crucial one. And that name, Galaxy, what does it make you think of? Something vast, full of stars, endless possibilities. It was a bold choice. It suggested Samsung had big ambitions for this line of phones. They weren't just aiming to make a few good devices. They wanted to build an entire universe of products. Looking back, that name was pretty spot on. The Galaxy series would indeed grow into something massive, something that would change the phone world in many ways. This first step was small, but the name hinted at a giant leap to come. So after that first Galaxy, Samsung didn't just stop. They kept going, releasing more phones. This was a period of trying things out, seeing what worked. You could say they were exploring, finding their path in the Android world. Not every phone was a superstar, but each one taught Samsung something new. Take the Samsung Galaxy Spica, also known as the i5700. It came out later in 2009. It was a bit more affordable, trying to reach more people. It showed Samsung was thinking about different price points early on. Then there were some more experimental phones. Remember phone projectors? Samsung actually built one into a Galaxy phone. It was called the Galaxy Beam. This was in 2010 with the i8520 model, and they even made a later version. It wasn't a mainstream hit, obviously, but it showed Samsung wasn't afraid to try wild ideas. They were testing the waters, pushing boundaries to see what people might want. Some ideas stick, some don't. That's how innovation often works. You have to experiment to find the next big thing. Software was also a big part of the early journey. Android was evolving really fast back then. New versions like Eclair, Froyo, and Gingerbread came out quickly. Samsung had to work hard to update its phones. This was a challenge for all Android phone makers. Keeping up with Google's updates and adding their own features took a lot of effort. Sometimes they were quick, sometimes a bit slower, but they were learning how to manage software on a growing range of devices. This experience was super important. These early Galaxy models, even the ones you might not remember, were crucial. They helped Samsung build a solid foundation. They gained valuable experience in hardware design. They learned about manufacturing at scale. They started to understand what consumers really wanted in a smartphone, what features mattered, what designs felt good. All this learning, all these experiments were paving the way for something much bigger. They were getting ready for their first true blockbuster, a phone that would really put them on the map. Alright, 2010. This is when things really started to heat up for Samsung. This was the year they launched the Samsung Galaxy S. And let me tell you, this phone was a big deal. It wasn't just another Android phone. This was Samsung stepping up and saying, hey, we're a serious player now. The Galaxy S was designed to compete with the best phones out there, including the iPhone. It had a beautiful 4-inch Super AMOLED display. That screen was a major selling point. It was bright, vibrant, and just looked amazing for its time. The Galaxy S, model number GTI 9000, was packed with features. It had a powerful processor for 2010, a 1 GHz Hummingbird chip. This made it feel fast and responsive. It was also pretty thin and light. Samsung sold millions and millions of these phones all over the world. It came in different versions for different carriers, especially in the US, like the Captivate, Vibrant, and Fascinate. This strategy helped them reach a lot of customers. The Galaxy S really put Samsung on the global smartphone map in a huge way. Then, in 2011, Samsung followed up with the Galaxy S2. If the first S was good, the S2 was even better. Many people, myself included, thought this phone was fantastic. It was super thin, even thinner than the first one. It had a faster dual-core processor. The Super AMOLED Plus screen was improved, and the 8-megapixel camera took great photos for its time. The S2 was a massive success. It won a ton of awards and sold even more units than the original S. It really cemented Samsung's place as a top Android manufacturer. The S series became Samsung's flagship line. This was their hero product. Each year people would eagerly wait to see what the next Galaxy S would bring. It set a high bar for other Android phones. The S and S2 showed that Samsung could make premium, desirable devices. They weren't just making basic phones anymore, they were innovators, pushing screen technology, processor power, and design. This S series was the foundation of Samsung's smartphone empire. It was a true game changer for the company and for Android. So, while the Galaxy S series was becoming super popular, Samsung did something unexpected in 2011. They launched a new phone called the Samsung Galaxy Note. And this thing was different. The first thing you noticed was its size. It had a massive 5.3-inch screen. Now by today's standards, that might not sound huge. But back in 2011, most phone screens were around 4 inches. People were calling the Note a phablet. Part phone, part tablet. Some people laughed. They said it was way too big to be a phone. But the size wasn't the only new thing. The Galaxy Note came with a stylus, which Samsung called the S Pen. This wasn't just a simple plastic stick. The S Pen was a special tool that lets you write, draw, and navigate on the screen with precision. You could take notes quickly, sketch ideas, or edit photos. This made the Note really stand out. It wasn't just about having a big screen, it was about what you could do with that screen using the S Pen. It was a productivity powerhouse in your pocket. Initially, the reaction to the Galaxy Note was mixed. Like I said, some people thought it was too big. Who would carry that, they asked. But it turned out a lot of people loved it. The large screen was great for watching videos, browsing the web, and gaming, and the S Pen was a hit with artists, students, and business users. The Note found its audience, and that audience was passionate. It proved there was a market for larger phones, something many other companies hadn't realized yet. The success of the Galaxy Note series was huge for Samsung. It created a whole new category of smartphones. It showed that Samsung wasn't afraid to take risks and innovate. The Note became another powerful flagship line for Samsung, alongside the S series. Each year, a new Note would come out with a bigger screen, better S Pen features, and more power. It forced other phone makers to consider larger screen sizes. The Note really changed the game, and influenced the entire smartphone industry in a big way. Section 5. Innovation Unleashed, Features Galore. After establishing the S series and the Note series, Samsung entered a phase of intense innovation. This was around the time of the Galaxy S3, S4, and S5. They started packing their phones with tons of new software features. Some of them were genuinely useful. Others, well, maybe not so much, or they felt a bit gimmicky. But you couldn't say Samsung wasn't trying. They were throwing everything at the wall to see what stuck. They wanted their phones to do more than anyone else's. This period really showed their ambition. The Galaxy S3, released in 2012, was a massive hit. It had a nature-inspired design with smooth curves. It felt very different from the blocky phones of the time. It introduced features like S-Voice, Samsung's own voice assistant, though it didn't quite rival Siri or Google Assistant. It also had Smart Stay, which used the front camera to see if you were looking at the screen, keeping it from dimming. The S3 sold in colossal numbers, tens of millions, becoming one of the best-selling Android phones ever. Then came the Galaxy S4 in 2013. This phone was all about features, and more features. Samsung packed it with so much stuff. There was Air Gesture, letting you wave your hand over the phone to scroll or answer calls. Smart Scroll would scroll pages by tracking your eyes or tilting the phone. It had a temperature sensor, a humidity sensor. It was incredibly powerful, but some reviewers and users felt it was a bit overwhelming. It was like Samsung was trying to include every possible idea they had. The Galaxy S5 followed in 2014. It continued the trend of adding new hardware capabilities. This one brought IP67 water and dust resistance, which was a really practical improvement. It also introduced a fingerprint scanner in the home button for security, and it even had a heart rate monitor on the back, next to the camera flash. Again, Samsung was pushing the boundaries of what a phone could do. While not all features were essential for everyone, this period showed Samsung's drive to innovate and differentiate its Galaxy phones. Section 6. Polishing the diamond design and refinement. Alright, so after that burst of software features, Samsung started to shift its focus a bit. Around 2015, with the Galaxy S6, they began to really concentrate on design and build quality. For years, people had said Samsung phones were powerful but sometimes felt a bit plasticky compared to, say, an iPhone. Samsung listened. The Galaxy S6 was a major turning point in this regard. It ditched the removable plastic back for a sleek metal frame and a glass back. This felt so much more premium. The Galaxy S6 also came with a sibling, the Galaxy S6 Edge. This was a big deal. The S6 Edge had a screen that curved down on both sides. It looked incredibly cool and futuristic. It was a showcase for Samsung's amazing display technology. They were the ones making these curved OLED panels. While the Edge functionality was initially a bit limited, the design itself was a statement. It showed Samsung could lead not just in specs but also in cutting-edge industrial design. It really set them apart. Then in 2016 we got the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. These phones took the beautiful design of the S6 and refined it. Many people, myself included, considered the S7 Edge to be one of the best phones ever made at that point. Samsung brought back some features that users had missed from the S6, like microSD card support for expandable storage and IP68 water resistance. They listened to feedback. The camera was also significantly improved, especially in low light. It was a very complete and polished package. This period showed a maturing Samsung. They were still innovating for sure, but they were also paying more attention to the overall user experience. It wasn't just about cramming in features anymore. It was about making phones that looked great, felt great in the hand, and performed brilliantly in everyday use. They were refining their formula, taking what worked best and making it even better. This approach of listening to users and polishing their products helped them maintain their strong position in the market. Section 7. Bending the rules, the foldable era. So, Samsung had mastered the flat slab smartphone. They were making some of the best displays, cameras, and overall packages, but they didn't stop there. They had been teasing foldable display technology for years at tech shows, and then, in 2019 they actually did it. They launched the Samsung Galaxy Fold. This was a phone that could literally fold open to reveal a larger, tablet-sized screen inside. It felt like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It was a bold, ambitious move. Now, the launch of the first Galaxy Fold wasn't perfectly smooth. Early review units had some durability issues with the complex hinge and the delicate folding screen. Samsung made the tough but smart decision to delay the public release. They went back, re-engineered parts of it, and made it stronger. This showed how difficult it is to pioneer brand new technology. But when it finally came out, it was a glimpse into the future. It was expensive, yes, but it was undeniably cool and innovative. Samsung didn't just stick with one type of foldable. Soon after the Fold, they introduced the Galaxy Z Flip. This one folded differently, like an old-school flip phone, but with a flexible glass screen on the inside. When closed, it was super compact. When opened, you had a full-size smartphone screen. The Z Flip was more stylish, maybe a bit more mainstream in its appeal than the larger Fold. It showed that foldable technology could be used in different ways to solve different problems or create different experiences. The introduction of the Galaxy Fold and Z Flip series marked Samsung as a clear leader in this new foldable category. They were investing heavily in the technology, from the ultra-thin glass to the intricate hinges. While foldable phones are still more expensive than regular phones, the prices are coming down, and the technology is improving with each generation. Samsung is essentially creating and shaping this new market. It proves they are still hungry to innovate and push the boundaries of what a mobile device can be. It's exciting stuff. Section 8. Beyond the phone, the Galaxy ecosystem. Now, it's important to remember that Samsung's Galaxy brand isn't just about phones anymore. Over the years, they've built out a whole ecosystem of Galaxy devices. Think about it. You have Galaxy Tab tablets, which are great Android alternatives to the iPad. You have Galaxy Watch smartwatches, which are some of the best wearables for Android users, tracking your fitness and showing notifications. And then you have Galaxy Buds, their popular wireless earbuds that compete with AirPods. It's a whole family of products. The cool thing is how these Galaxy devices are designed to work together. Samsung has put a lot of effort into making them connect seamlessly. For example, your Galaxy Buds can easily switch between your Galaxy phone and your Galaxy tablet. You can start a task on your phone and continue it on your tablet. Features like Quick Share make it easy to send files between your Galaxy devices. This interconnectedness makes each individual product more valuable. Samsung wants you to live in their Galaxy, so to speak. One interesting feature that highlights this ecosystem approach is Samsung DeX. DeX lets you connect your Galaxy phone, usually a flagship S or Note Fold model, to an external monitor, keyboard, and mouse. When you do that, it launches a desktop-like interface on the bigger screen. You can run Android apps in Windows, browse the web, and be productive. It's like turning your phone into a portable computer. This adds a whole other layer of versatility to their high-end phones. It's a powerful tool for some users. So Samsung's strategy is clear. They're not just selling individual gadgets, they're selling an experience, a connected lifestyle. By having a strong ecosystem, they can offer more value to their customers. If you own a Galaxy phone, you might be more likely to buy a Galaxy Watch or Galaxy Buds because they'll work so well together. This helps build customer loyalty and keeps people invested in the Samsung platform. It's a smart move that many tech companies are trying to emulate, and Samsung is doing it quite well. Section 9, the Galaxy Now and Next, the journey continues. So here we are in mid-2025. The Samsung Galaxy line is still going strong, still one of the biggest names in mobile. Right now, their latest flagships are likely the Galaxy S25 series, the S25, S25 Plus, and S25 Ultra. These phones, as you'd expect, are probably pushing the envelope with even better cameras, probably using some crazy high megapixel counts and improved AI processing. The processors are faster, displays are brighter and more efficient. Samsung continues to refine that slab smartphone formula to near perfection each year. And of course, the foldable lineup is more mature than ever. We're probably looking at the Galaxy Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6. Samsung has likely made them thinner, lighter, and more durable. The crease in the middle of the screen, which was a concern for early foldables, has probably become even less noticeable. They're working hard to make these foldable phones more mainstream, possibly with more accessible price points. The software experience for foldables has also improved a lot, making better use of those unique screen sizes and form factors. A big focus for Samsung and pretty much the entire tech industry right now is artificial intelligence, or AI. You're seeing AI integrated into so many features on Galaxy phones. It's helping to make photos look better automatically. It's improving battery life by learning your usage patterns. It's powering smarter voice assistants and translation features. This AI trend is only going to get bigger, and Samsung is definitely investing heavily to make its Galaxy devices smarter and more helpful. We can expect more AI-powered innovations. Looking ahead, what's next for Samsung Galaxy? They'll definitely keep pushing foldable technology. Maybe we'll see new form factors like rollable screens or even stretchable displays someday. Samsung is also very focused on sustainability. They're using more recycled materials in their devices and packaging. They're trying to make their products more energy efficient. This is important for the planet and for many consumers. One thing is for sure, the Samsung Galaxy story is far from over. They've come a long way from that first i7500, and they'll keep innovating and shaping the future of mobile.